Amazing flying saucer incident in Dulce, New Mexico in the late 1960s. According to a testimony given by former Dulce, New Mexico resident Darren Vigil Gray, it was in the late 1960s that this amazing incident took place on Highway 64 between Dulce and Lumberton. At that time, Darren was a fourth grader on the Jicarilla Apache Reservation in northern Rio Arriba County. At around 6:30 a.m. that particular morning, he claims he saw a flying saucer on his way to a parochial school which was located in nearby Lumberton. A dirty metallic colored disc about 20 feet in diameter passed about 50 feet in the air over his school bus between Dulce and Lumberton, he said. It created all this chaos on the bus, Gray said. He said his brother, then a sixth grader, yelled, "It's a flying saucer!" But the priest driving the van didn't stop to investigate the phenomenon and instead stepped on the gas. Gray said the disc appeared to come from Archuleta Mesa and continued for several miles over the low hills south of the highway. He said, later on, cattle mutilations soon began to be reported in the same area, and the mesa was said to be a sort of UFO base. This experience really changed my whole scope, said Gray, now a well-known artist in Santa Fe. This incident was also confirmed by a former Dulce rancher, Edmund Gomez, who was among more than a dozen students in that school bus. By the way, the Gomez family had the largest ranch in the Dulce area at that time. But beginning around 1975, the Gomez family began to report many incidents of cattle mutilations in their ranch, which were soon investigated by State Patrol Officer Gabe Valdez, who was assigned by the state of New Mexico to find out what was actually happening. But to this date, the cattle mutilation incidents in the Dulce area of those years still remain unsolved. And both Edmund Gomez and the late Gabe Valdez have expressed their belief that it was the government and not the aliens that were perpetrating these incidents, and that it may have had something to do with the government's attempt to covertly investigate the radiation effects on local cattle resulting from the 1967 underground nuclear experiment, Project Gas Buggy, December 10th, 1967, which took place about 22 miles southwest of Dulce. But getting back to that incident involving a flying saucer in Dulce, Edmund Gomez stated that he was also in that bus and was a witness. There were more than a dozen students riding in that bus, he stated. By the way, this incident was mentioned in Albuquerque Journal by Tom Sharp on April 5th, 1996. Once again, please share the following YouTube narration of this amazing flying saucer incident in Dulce, New Mexico in the late 1960s. According to a testimony given by former Dulce, New Mexico resident Darren Vigil Gray, it was in the late 1960s that this amazing incident took place on Highway 64 between Dulce and Lumberton. At that time, Darren was a fourth grader on the Hickory Apache Reservation. At around 6:30 that particular morning, he claims he saw a flying saucer on his way to a parochial school which was located in nearby Lumberton. A dirty metallic-looking disc-shaped object about 20 feet in diameter suddenly appeared and passed over Highway 64, about 50 feet in the air over his school bus. There were, of course, other students in the bus. It created quite a commotion among the students in the bus, he said. "It's a flying saucer," his brother explained. But the priest who was driving the bus became quite agitated and was shaken up so much so that instead of stopping and investigating the phenomenon, stepped on the gas and sped all the way to the school in Lumberton. Darren said the disc-shaped object seemed to have come from the Alchuleta Mesa and continued for several miles over the low hills and flew south of the highway. "This experience really changed my whole scope," said Gray, who is now a well-known artist in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Among other students who were in the bus who also witnessed this incident was Edmund Gomez, one of the sons of Manuel Gomez, owner of the largest ranch in Dulce at that time. Even today, Edmund Gomez testifies to this unforgettable incident that took place over Highway 64 in Dulce, New Mexico. This was reported and published on April 5th, 1996, in the Albuquerque Journal newspaper by reporter Tom Sharp. This is Norio Hayakawa in Albuquerque, New Mexico.